Hi, my friend. Welcome back to your mat. Today we're doing a completely hands-free flow. So this practice is great if you experience any hand pain, any wrist pain, or if putting weight on your hands is just not appropriate for you right now. It's also great if you want to have a flow that you can do anywhere without having to actually put your hands on the ground. So it could be great for a hotel room, your office, doing outside, any place where you don't actually want to put your hands on the ground. Okay? That's it. So, props for this class. If you have them, grab 2 yoga blocks. If you don't have yoga blocks, you can grab a substitute, like maybe some cereal boxes or cans of paint or some thick books, just whatever you have laying around. And if you don't have anything, no worries. You can do it without. So, when you're ready, find mountain pose, which means standing well. So feet are about hips distance apart, toes pointing forward, trying to bring the outside blades of the pinky toe side of your foot parallel to each other. Think about stacking the hips over the ankles, the shoulders over the hips, finding a long neutral spine. And one thing to note is that many of us tend to have a head forward position. This comes from sitting at a computer, doing a lot of texting, and doing a lot of driving. So notice if your head and neck are jutting forward ahead of your body, which creates a lot of problems. And think about pulling your cheekbones just under your eyes, parallel vertically with your collarbones. So it might actually feel a little almost foreign to you. You might feel like you are tucking your chin slightly. That's okay. Perhaps think about lining up the earlobes over the shoulders. And once you find your way there, play with your balance. Find the balance of the feet, maybe shifting forward and back, side to side a little bit, until you feel like you found the centers of your feet and you feel fully grounded and connected. From here, let's take 5 mindful breaths. Eyes open, eyes closed, your choice. Inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose. Inhale and exhale, allowing the breath to flow freely. One more breath, relaxing the jaw, softening the muscles of the face. And from this position, from this mountain pose, again, eyes open or closed, dip the chin down towards the chest, keeping the spine tall and neutral. And we're going to take some half moon shapes, neck rolls. So start by taking one ear towards one shoulder, and then coming back through center, taking the other ear to the other shoulder, and then just moving back and forth between the two. I personally don't care for rolling my neck all the way around 360 degrees in a circle, but if that feels good for you, you're more than welcome to do so. If you find a particular spot where your neck is saying, hey, stay there, feel free to pause for a few breaths. Breathe into whatever sensation or tightness you might feel. And then let's make our way back to center, bringing the head up once more, bringing cheekbones back into alignment with collarbones, and then we're going to come into some gentle side bends. So soften the knees, make sure they're not locked, and then take one arm up and over. You may want to place the bottom hand on your hip, or you may want to reach up, grab the opposite wrist, and give it a little tug. Either way is fine. think about really elongating through the top side of the body, this side seam, thinking about spreading the ribs away from each other and really breathing into that side of your lungs. So if your right arm is up and overhead, think about breathing into the right side of your lungs. Same goes if the left arm is up and overhead. Breathing into the left side of your lungs. One more breath. And then let your next inhale carry you back up to standing. And then we'll take it in this opposite direction. So second arm comes up and overhead. Coming into this standing side bend. Again, hand on hip or gently tugging the opposite wrist, whichever you prefer. Coming back to those mindful breaths. Really feeling that opening, that stretch through the side waist, maybe even up into the armpit, you feel it. And then on your next inhale, let's make our way back to center. The next thing we're going to do is just some simple hip swaying. So start by just swaying the hips from side to side. Soft bend in the knees or a deeper bend in the knees if that feels good. You can start to sway side to side. Maybe you want to sway forward and back. And perhaps you'd like to start swaying in a circle. That's fine too. Anytime I do these circular hip sways, I think about an episode of SpongeBob SquarePants where he's like, bring it around town, bring it around town. And I don't think that will ever leave me. So bring it around town, y'all. And then let's change the directions of the circles if you're choosing circles, moving in the opposite direction. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Honestly, we're just like moving our hips. We're lubricating the pelvis, the area of the hip joints. This area tends to get really tight, especially with a lot of sitting or driving, or if you're a big runner, big cycler. Great. And then in your own time, find your way back to your neutral mountain position. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you is how to do a downward facing dog without putting your hands on the ground. We're going to do downward facing dog at the wall. So I'm going to show you the setup, and then I'm going to turn to the side so you can see what it looks to the side. But start by finding a space of wall. If you don't have a wall, you could use a back of a chair. You could use a park bench if you're outside, just whatever is available to you. I'm going to turn my back to you for a moment. Coming up to the wall, we want to be close to the wall. Find your hip points, these bony parts of the front of your pelvis, also known as your ASIS. Find these little bony, sticky outy things. And this is going to be about where the height that we're going to place our hands on the wall. So go ahead and take your hands to that height on the wall, tent the fingertips, find these pyramid fingers, so you'll see that my hands are about the height of my hip points. And once you find that, you're going to start to walk the feet away from the wall. Yes, you're going to see my tushy in the screen for just a moment, and then I'll turn to the side so you can see. Basically, we want to walk our feet away from the wall until we can bring our upper body, our back, parallel to the floor. Okay, so I'll show you what that looks like from the side, coming up to any wall that's available to you, and just walking away until you find that 90-degree crease through the hips or something close. If going all the way 90 doesn't feel good, if you've got vertigo or dizziness, then walk your hands a little bit higher up the wall. No worries. And if you want to go ahead and place your palms on the wall, you can. You can keep those tented fingertips. And I want you to think about gently hugging your belly button up towards the spine, finding a long neutrality of the spine. You might need to adjust your feet a little bit to be able to do this. I want you to think about shining the crown of your head forward towards the wall in front of you and reaching your tailbone back behind you, reaching it away, thinking about elongating the spine. And you'll probably want a gentle bend in your knees in order to do this. Here we want to feel a stretch, a lengthening through the muscles of the back, the spine. You feel this in the sides of your waist. You might even feel this into the backs of your legs. So take 1 to 2 more gentle rounds of breath, thinking about expanding through the torso, through the chest, breathing into even the back body, the back ribs. And then nice and slow, start to walk the feet back in towards the wall, slowly walking the hands up. Pause for a moment. Notice if you're dizzy. Notice if you're lightheaded. If that's the case, just stay with one hand touching the wall until you feel ready to move on. Okay, so now let's get into some standing poses. Again, no hands required. Go ahead and come to the top of your mat, so facing the short end of your yoga mat if you're using one, standing in that mountain pose, feet hips distance. We're going to take the hands to the waist and take a big step back with that left foot, coming into a high lunge. So right knee stacks over right ankle, back heel is lifted, getting tall through the spine and torso, thinking about shoulders over hips, spine long and neutral. It's okay if your back knee is not totally locked out, not required. It's okay to have a soft bend there. Beautiful. So from here, let's inhale the arms forward and up, getting long through the sides of the waist, allowing the shoulders to rise as you reach up through the fingertips. Beautiful. Hugging the belly button gently in. Find that steadiness in the legs, thinking about magnetizing the inner thighs toward each other. If you're a little wobbly here, you're always welcome to widen your stance a little bit, so finding more distance in between the legs. From here, we're going to take a twist. So I'm going to have you start to open up towards the right side of the room, reaching the left arm forward and the right arm back. You don't need to go super deep here. Just finding a little twist through the spine. And if anything about this doesn't feel good, then you could always take this back hand to your low back, your sacrum, and reach that left arm forward. That should decrease a little bit of the intensity in the twist. One more breath. And then let's bring the arms forward once more. Reach up, one more inhale. And then exhale the hands back to your hips. Now from here, we're just going to take this back heel and spiral it down to the ground so that the left big toe is pointing at the front left corner of your mat. Square the hips, hips face forward. We're going to come to warrior one just for a moment. Strong legs here, grounding down through the feet, hips facing forward, shoulders facing forward, long spine. And then on your next exhale, hands return to your waist or hips. Step the left foot forward to the top of your mat. Let's do it on the other side. So now the right foot is going to take a big step back, coming into this high lunge on the second side, finding your stance, finding your steadiness, widening the feet if you need a wider base. And then a soft bend in that back knee, front knee over front ankle. And then inhale the arms forward and up into your high lunge. Now, if reaching your arms up and overhead is not available to you, whether through shoulder injury or it makes you lightheaded, then just keep the hands down at your hips or take the hands to prayer at heart center. One more breath here before we transition into our twist. So really strengthening through the legs here. We're going to start transitioning to the twist. So hug those inner thighs in as you start to open up towards the left side of the room, reaching the right arm forward and the left arm back. Again, you can take this left hand to the low back, the sacrum area, to lessen the intensity of the twist just a little bit. If anything feels uncomfortable, if anything feels like too much, just soften and back out of the twist a little bit. Notice if your breath is smooth and easy or if it's gotten choppy and tight. If it's choppy and tight, that's a good indicator that it's time to back out. Beautiful. Let's inhale the arms back, forward and up, reach up. Exhale the hands down to your waist and then spiral that right heel down to the ground, coming into our warrior one stance. From here, you're welcome to inhale the arms forward and up once more, or place the hands in a position that feels supportive to you. One breath, and then exhale the hands down to your waist. Mindfully step the right foot forward, back to mountain pose. Great job. Let's come to the center of the mat, now facing the long end of the mat. And we're going to step our feet out nice and wide. Now, this is where you might want your blocks. So I'm just going to place mine kind of in the vicinity, the general vicinity of my feet. Okay, so wide stance here. Now, wide for you might mean about shoulders distance. Wide for you might mean a little bit wider than shoulders distance. Just make sure you feel comfortable and that you feel like you can keep the engagement of the legs and inner thighs in this position. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is turn the toes out 45 degrees, coming into a ballet second position if you ever did ballet. And we're going to bend the knees, coming into this goddess squat. Also maybe a sumo squat, you might be familiar with that. Bringing the hips as low as feels good and comfortable in your body. Now, option to stay here, or for a little back stretch, I love this one. Taking the hands to the thighs, we're just going to dip the shoulder one at a time, coming into like a little twist. I think this one feels really good for my spine, getting a little twisty twist in. Really stretches out my upper and middle back. Again, you're welcome to leave out the twist if it doesn't feel good. Plus, this really helps because my inner thighs are sore yesterday from the workout that I did. Lots of sumo squats, lots of sumo deadlifts. So this feels really nice. All right, make your way back to center, and then we'll slowly use our leg muscles to come back up. Now, let's re-parallel the feet to each other so outside edges of the feet become parallel, hands to waist. We're going to do 3 standing poses on each side, and then we'll finish up and be done. So right thigh, right toes turn out 90 degrees to face the short end of the mat. Left heel comes back just slightly. Move the block so you can see what that looks like. We're going to bend this front knee, coming into a warrior two position. So from here, reach the arms out and away if that feels okay. If anything about this feels uncomfortable with the arms and shoulders, you can bring the hands to waist, hands to prayer. Always have options. So shoulders are spinning towards the long end of the mat. Legs are strong. Spine is long. Chest is proud. Find the strength here in this pose. Breathing smoothly and fully. And then we're going to take this front hand, this right hand, flip the palm up towards the ceiling, and we're going to come into reverse warrior. So lifting this right arm up and over as the left hand comes to rest gently on the left thigh. Thinking about lengthening through this right side waist, right side of your ribs. Keeping the legs strong and the upper body soft. One more breath. And then we'll let the inhale carry us back up to warrior two. Hands to waist. Straighten this front leg. So we're coming to triangle pose next, which may be an opportunity for using a block. I would set it up just on the inside of your foot, slightly behind the ankle. So from here, we're going to swing our hips to the left. So think about your tailbone and your pubic bone starting to swing to the left. The left hip bumps out, lengthening through both sides of the waist equally, deepening this crease at the top of the right thigh. Now you're welcome to stay here with hands on waist. You can take right hand to right thigh, right hand to right shin, or right hand to block. Reaching that left arm up or leaving the left hand on the waist. Lots of options here. Find what works for you, your body, find what feels good today. Let's take 3 breaths here in triangle pose. Keeping the inner thighs engaged, hugging the heels in toward each other like you wanted to make your mat bubble up in the center. And then on your next inhale, really rooting down through the right heel, pressing up to come back up, hands to waist. Let's take it to the other side. So turn the toes towards the long end of the mat, reset, left thigh, left toes turn out 90 degrees. Bend that left knee, warrior 2 stance. Reach the arms away, powerful warrior 2 here. You can keep the gaze neutral or you can look over the left fingertips. Totally up to you. Think about hugging the belly button gently in, lengthening the tailbone gently down. Finding your power here in this stance. Beautiful. Left arm or left hand flips up towards the ceiling, up and over, reverse warrior. Right hand rests lightly on the back thigh. Strengthen the lower body, ease and softness in the upper body. Relax your face, soften the inside of your mouth. Smooth breath. Beautiful. On your next inhale, start to come back up. Straighten that left leg. Opportunity for the block here for triangle pose. If you used it on one side, use it on the other. Arms reach away, swing the pelvis to the right. So starting to reach and turn the tailbone and pubic bone towards the right, bumping that right hip back, reaching forward through that left arm, and then taking the left hand to thigh, shin, block, ankle, floor, wherever you're at. Spinning the shoulders open, broad collarbones. Reach up through that right hand or right hand to waist, whatever feels good. Engaging through the legs, so rooting down through the feet, pressing down through the heels, hugging the thighs up and in. Beautiful. One more breath. And then as you inhale, press through that left heel, come up slowly, hands to waist. Turn those toes back to face the long end of the mat. If you like to use blocks, grab them both here. We're going to finish with a wide-legged forward fold. So outside edges of the feet parallel, hands to waist. Think about hinging from the hips, deepening these creases at the top of your thigh bone where they meet the pelvis. Long neutral spine, hug that belly button in. You're welcome to stay here, coming halfway. You can take the hands down to your blocks if that's supportive, or if you'd like a full fold variation, then you can release the head and neck all the way down towards the ground. Feeling this stretch through the back side of your body, calves, thighs, glutes, low back, mid back, upper back, neck. You might feel it in one or all. Continue to breathe. And And then on your next inhale, let's come up halfway, bringing the spine parallel to the floor. Walk the hands up onto your waist, and then make your way the rest of the way up, heel toeing the feet together. That is it, my friend. Thank you so much for joining me for this hands-free flow that you can do anywhere. And if you'd like to finish with a resting pose, please do so. Go ahead and lay down, take a load off, take a rest, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.